Call the meeting to order. Jen, would you take roll, please?
Commissioner Corbin.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Waldner.
Here.
Commissioner Thill.
Here.
And Mayor Lindsay.
Here. You have before you the agenda, but we also got word that Todd Kays from Watertown will not be here tonight because they already have snow on the ground, and so we would need an amendment to the agenda for his absence.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there anything anyone would like to remove from the consent calendar?
Make a motion we approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under old business, hearing on ordinance number 1602, amend Appendix B zoning, change zoning district from RM to R20. Is there anyone here that wanted to speak pro or con for the change in that area out there?
We just wanted to know more information. Did you have anything more?
Okay.
Like what they're putting in?
Twin homes. And currently where it's zoned it is zoned for mobile homes. Okay. The request is to remove the mobile homes and put in twin homes.
So it's like 2 twin homes?
2 twin homes.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So,
And if I may, Your Honor.
Chad?
The request is for the rezone, and this would allow, I'll describe it this way, to upgrade zone, to go from something that's less restrictive to something that's more restrictive. For whatever reason, the zoning ordinance doesn't allow, whether you're talking twin homes or multiple, fourplexes, threeplexes, duplexes, or so on, they don't allow them in the manufactured housing district. So this will change it to an R20 district, which just allows those different types of homes. And I can't remember off the top of my head if that's by conditional use or by principal permitted use, but so the proposal would just be to rezone it and allow everything that's allowed in that zone. Subsequently, Mr. Johnson or whomever the owner, successor owners would have to come in and come up with a specific proposal of whether it's a duplex or a twin home. I know twin home was discussed in letters and such like that, but that's not most technically the item that's on the agenda. It is actually just to rezone.
Rezone it.
Right.
But it is my recollection in an R20, a twin home is allowed. Anything beyond that requires a conditional use permit through the planning and zoning.
Right.
Okay. So a twin home, and that would be something that he would be able to come in and get a permit and move forward on. If he wanted to do something different, then he would have to go before planning and zoning for conditional use.
I would have to keep my finger on the checker a little bit. I believe for multiple uses, like up to 2 dwelling units per lot, those, as I recall, I apologize, I don't have my, because that's not technically the proposal before you, is what he's putting in.
Right.
So I don't have that, I apologize. But I believe that you can put in up to 4 units without having to go through the conditional use process. But it may just be 2, but regardless, that's something we would deal with subsequently.
Having read that on the Egan Avenue project that was proposed,
Right.
they could do 2. Anything beyond 2 was conditional use.
That sounds right. And I
That's
think
my memory.
the plan was to do 2 units,
Yes.
two duplexes. essentially. So
But we're not voting on that. We're just
No,
voting
we're just
on
voting
the
on the change.
That's
On the change.
or the zoning change.
Yes.
Yep.
But that's what the R20 would allow, is currently 2 units in that, or up to 4 with a conditional use permit.
Seems like a pretty rare situation here where we're going to a more restrictive zoning to allow for building.
Yeah, that is a good way to say it. Yes. Usually you think of something less restrictive, there'd be more opportunities to do these things, but The way the ordinance are structured at this point, twin homes or even the duplexes weren't allowed to be done.
I assume this is pretty standard for manufactured home zoning. I don't see a lot of not that I go through a lot, but you don't see a lot of random homes inside those areas. So, but I just found it unusual and kind of unique. With that,
Other questions on the hearing? If not, we'll go on to second reading. Ordinance 1602, amend Appendix B, zoning, change zoning district from RM to R20. Questions or comments from the commission? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance number 1602, amend Appendix B zoning, change zoning district from RM to R20.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under new business, bid number 872, review and award bid, LED lighting and appurtenances. And I'm going to ask Brad, did you want to address this?
Yes, sir. You should have in your packet a letter from the Madison Public Library making a recommendation from the library board to award a bid to Border States Electric for lighting and associated appurtenances. And those associated appurtenances are dimming modules so that we can do light harvesting on the south-facing areas of the building. There's quite a few windows there, so the idea was to do a little light harvesting and dim the LEDs to further improve the efficiency of the building and get the right amount of light at all times of day. Clouds go over, whatever, the lights will come back up. So that bid came in at $80,142.00. We had two bids. They were relatively close, and Border States was a low bid and meets the standards of what we had set out in the bid. And the recommendation is to award.
This is just for material?
This is just for materials. The electric department will do the install. We've been looking at the structure, looking at access points and everything, and have kind of worked up a plan on how we're going to manage putting in the new LEDs in place of the existing, their metal halide lights in there now. And we think we can utilize some of the existing wiring on quite a few of them, and then we'll have to do some moving around, especially in the stack on the east side of the library. They're going to put in new stack lighting, which runs down between the stacks. So the stacks stand up so high that if you put a light off to the side, they block the light. These will go down in between, kind of in the aisle, if you will, and it'll light up the books and light up everything a lot better than it is now.
And just a little more background on it, the lighting that's in there, and that is, what are they, about 450 watts each? I mean, you can cook.
They're 400 watts per each. I think
Plus the ballast.
there's 53 of them. Out of the 53, I think there's something along the lines of 48 of them are 400 watt. The others are 250 watt. And like I say, it's an easy bake oven.
Yes.
That's what's in an easy bake oven is a light bulb. So that's basically what this is. It should pay for itself, not just in the electric cost for the lighting, which is going to be a substantial savings. The heating and ventilating and air conditioning is going to be even more substantial. And so I anticipate that this, from a all areas included payback, and not counting our maintenance, because we're down there one Friday a month putting in new bulbs on a regular basis, it should pay back something in the lines of 2 years. That seems awful. You wouldn't believe that looking at the numbers here, but I think, not counting our labor to put them in, because I assume our labor to put them in is going to be a trade for the labor we've been putting in to replace all the bulbs, so that's going to be kind of a wash. So the labor isn't really a big ticket item on this. It's going to be the energy that's saved and the amount that we're going to pay for these materials. But I anticipate in a little over 2 years it'll probably pay itself off, just in the energy savings.
Yes, and I would totally agree with that.
Where's the money coming from on this?
And gentlemen, I should have had a separate line item, like I'd like to do the library. This is an unbudgeted project, but the library would like to use their established building reserve for this project. The dollars in the library building reserve right now are $112,550. So they do have plenty in the reserve to cover this project. Would you care to make that part of your motion this evening, is to use the library building reserve to fund this project, please?
Other questions or comments?
I know you guys have been working on this for a long time, so trying to get all the light fixtures and everything, so I'll make a motion that we approve bid number 872, award it to Border States Electric in the amount of $80,142 for, make sure I got everything right, LED lighting and apertures, and use the library building reserve fund.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Bid number 873, set a bid date, Cured in Place, project 2018-3. Chad or Brad, whichever one would like to address this one.
I can say a few things. Thank you, Your Honor. You have the plans and specifications where we were able to get those assembled here today. This is for a cured in place pipelining project where there's a liner installed, most typically in this instance inside of clay tile pipes. We worked with the Public Works staff to identify some lines that we wanted to look at doing this lining on. Those are shown in a far larger scale on the cover sheet of the plans. So there's the areas where we're working, but the rest of the plans are basically the details and notes and et cetera that are necessary to secure bids for this project from contractors. I believe there's about $500,000 in the budget for this for 2018. There's been some changes since budget time to reduce the project size, and so I have no concern about when the bids come in that we'll have anything that exceeds the budget. But I would recommend authorizing bidding and set the bid date for April 19th at 2 p.m.
Questions or comments? Did you have any more to add, Brad?
No, sir?
It's a fun process. You could go watch them do it when they're in town.
Mm-hmm.
I make a motion to approve bid number 873, set a bid date for April 19th at 2 o'clock for Cured in Place Pipe Project 2018-3.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And only if Corbin goes and videos them doing it.
Well, we should get some video for it. We can
Yeah.
watch it here afterwards.
Twitter it.
Yeah, maybe perhaps.
Bid number 874, set a bid date. Construction of underground electric, primary, secondary, service and street light circuitry. Brad or Chad, either one want to address that?
This is the advertisement for bids for our standard upgrade project, this year's project. We're going to start it a little bit later and finish it hopefully at the same time as what we normally would. And we're seeking to go out for bids scheduled on the 26th day of April at 10 a.m. I can answer any questions if anybody's got anything on what we plan on doing, but
What part of town are we doing?
this will be coming out of the power plant and going along 3rd, that'd be Southwest 3rd up to Egan, and then on over to, I believe it's Hearth, and then north up to, including the courthouse and the areas that have not been upgraded through there. So it'll pick up the East River Credit Union, their dispatch center, around the library, the high rise, all those things up through there, up to 2nd. And then we go across and tie in on the, there's a sectionalizing cabinet out behind the car wash there. And that's where the project ends. So it's a little bit smaller as far as the number. I think there's 22 meters or something like that on this project that need to be swapped. So it's a lot smaller in the number of meters. It's a lot of three-phase electric line that's going to be constructed in this. So it's primarily doing the backbone to set up for the future so we can, do more, if you will, backfeeding or whatever. So that's taking it from the power plant at the higher voltage where right now it's at the 2400.
And it's right downtown, so that always takes a little extra work as well. It's not as easy as pulling through an alley.
It's pretty tedious when we get down into some of those areas with all the concrete and other things that are in the ground already. So it's going to be a little more time consuming for some of the boring, I think, in some of those locations. And we're going to have to work a lot with the landowners and the contractor to get that done just the way we want, but we always seem to figure out a way to make it work.
No, very good.
This will take in the high rise and everything then?
Yes, sir.
Other questions or comments?
Make a motion to approve bid number 874, set a bid date for April 26th at 10 a.m., I think, for construction of underground electric primary, secondary service, and street lighting circuitry.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Authorize the purchase of a 2019 Freightliner chassis and Rosenbauer 1,500 gallon per minute pump and body from the state contract number 17007. And I'll ask Randy to address this one, please.
All right, well, thank you. As you know, the fire department the last few years has been putting quite a bit of money away in a reserve towards a new engine, our city engine. This year we put 100,000 in it for a total of 275,000 is what we have in it. So is what we did right after the first year, the department, we put together a truck committee made up of 7 guys. And the purpose of this was more or less just to prepare us for July and August 2019 budget. Find out how close we were to getting a truck, what we were going to need in 2019. Anyway, our numbers came back, and we were surprised, completely surprised. Going off the state bid, the way us 7 guys designed the truck, and to tell you a little bit more about the guys that we put on this committee, they're 7 of our truck operators. 99% of the time, it's going to be one of these 7 guys that usually run our truck. Like I say, the bid came in at $283,525. It's a 2019 Freightliner. Our current engine is it's a 1995. It's a 1,250 gallon a minute pump. This new one is a 1,500 gallon a minute pump. It's quite a bit bigger truck, the pump and everything. The bid came in at $283,525. There was one option that we wanted to add to it. That 283 comes in with a red truck, but the body would be aluminum. For an additional $2,240, the back end of the truck would also be red. The whole truck would be red. For a total of $285,765 would be the price of this truck. These trucks are a year out. So it'd be March or April of 2018 before we get it. If we were to go ahead with this and commit to it, they would order the chassis. The chassis is $92,810. If we were to go ahead with this year, commit to it, we could pay for that chassis in 2018. And if we did, they would discount the price of the truck by $3,500. So that would bring the price of the truck back down to $282,265. So it would it put us roughly $7,265 short of what we got into reserve. But like I say, the chassis would be looking. And we wouldn't even have to pay for the chassis this year if we didn't want to. If we didn't want to take advantage of that $3,500 savings, we could pay for the whole truck in March or April. But if we wanted to...
Of next year.
Correct. Yes, of next year. Yes.
But then that would cost you $3,500 more if you don't pay for the chassis this year. And so are you getting enough interest on those dollars to make up $3,500 by leaving it sit in the bank? I'm going to guess not at 0.3%. Okay? So, as far as the common sense in that, rather than leave the money sit there, it makes sense to save $3,500, pay for the chassis this year, and then pay for the remainder of it when it's ready to be picked up. So,
And for what it's worth, I did ask, how about if a guy paid for the whole truck this year? The price of the truck would be $276,715. Then would be $1,715 short this year.
but the savings in addition to that, I didn't do the math on that, but the savings on that then brings it down about $9,000 from the total of 285,765 to 276. That's pretty good.
Substantial, too.
That's pretty good return on your investment. So, other thoughts?
Jen, if we were to pay for all of that, do we have another line item in the fire department we could, like,
We'll just have to see how the year pans out.
I know we have contingency money, I mean, it's
Right.
$1,500 or something, we can.
That wasn't part of our earlier conversation from last
Right.
week, but because you have the 275 put away, you're just off a few $1,000s.
Right.
Well, to see how your 2018 budget goes, hopefully we've got some wiggle room in there. Worst case scenario is you have to supplement just a little bit at the end of the year.
Right.
If you're looking at cost savings of potentially $9,000, hopefully we can just find that within the bottom line of your fire department budget throughout 2018.
And that was 276.
276,715. $715.
Okay.
One more time for me, 276.
715.
Thank you.
So, Jen, as finance officer, I mean, would you, because I know a lot of times they don't like the payment right up front, am I right on that, or they don't really care, or?
Well, and when I asked them that, they says they haven't had many people ever ask that.
Yeah.
Usually you want to deliver,
Right,
right, it's one
right.
thing to pay for the chassis, no.
Not a lot of people are smart enough to save up for it and then go pay for it, right, and then buy it.
You're almost there. I mean,
Yeah.
due diligence, you
Right.
work
But
hard.
the other thing in that I look at too is what's been happening politically on the East Coast with the steel and aluminum. And I was reading an article today in that talked about, changes that happened about 10 years ago and how steel and aluminum went up, between 15 and 20% during that steel and aluminum embargo, if you want to call it that. And they're looking for it to be a harder hit this time around. So to me, if we could save that much and then guarantee that they were going to build it for this price, we may be further ahead down the road than just the $9,050 and that I'm seeing as a difference on here.
Yeah, I think in talking with Randy, that's certainly part of this that kind of surprised the committee as well. And this company, Rosenboom, Rosenbauer, they came back and told them, listen, we're going to have to lock in this price if we're going to do it because of the fluctuation
Uncertainty.
and uncertainty of what can happen with the steel industry. So,
And this bid was proposed to us 2 weeks ago, last Thursday, March 22nd, and it's good for a month, and then expect it to go up.
Yeah, and I would agree with that too from everything that I've read. I would expect to see it going up as well. So, in looking at it from, looking from behind and looking forward, I think the 276 paid up front and is well worth making it happen.
Jen, your advice, finance perspective, I mean, is
I'm
that?
okay with that again because of the dollar amount of your reserve.
Okay.
I would only ask then this evening that your motion be to authorize the purchase, the verbiage that we have there on our agenda cover, at the estimated cost of $276,715. Make that number part of the motion. And then the next line item there is to authorize the use of the fire truck reserve, applying that entire $275,000 this year, which again was not part of our earlier conversation. But
Okay.
I'm supportive if that's your decision.
And I'll just want to echo the comment made earlier, is that this commission has worked hard at stockpiling this reserve, and not just this reserve, but I would also say other reserves, to make sure that we do have money to refund. So that this is engine number one. This truck is a major part of our fleet. It goes to all the fires, and so it's a pretty critical part for our fire department. With that,
23 years old.
yeah, I would make a motion, we authorize purchase of 2019 Freightliner chassis, Rosenbauer 1,500 gallons per minute pump and body from state contract number 17007 for the amount of $276,715.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 5, authorize the use of the fire truck reserve for the 2019 Freightliner chassis, Rosenbauer 1,500 gallon per minute pump and body. Any further discussion?
Again, I'll make the motion to authorize the use of the fire truck reserve 2019 Freightliner chassis, Rosenbauer 1,500 GPM pump and body, the amount of $275,000.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Just re-announcing that, we do have an election for 2 commissioners coming up, and absentee voting is for both school board and the city are open. So with that, do you have another announcement?
I was just going to announce that I believe there's a little shindig this weekend that'll help raise funds for the fire department that could probably use a little bit extra money now.
Saturday night.
Yes.
Yes,
Saturday
Saturday night.
night.
Yes, so. Any other announcements? Okay, seeing none, no executive session. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.